Nintendo has got plenty of franchises, but none of them has seen the quick and huge popularity of Splatoon. Launching on the failed Wii U, the game was a huge success, selling very good sales on a system of just 12 million units. A few years later, we got a sequel on the more successful Switch, which saw even more success for the franchise. Adding the Inklings joining Smash Bros. Ultimate and Mario Kart 8, and Splatoon is one of Nintendo's most important franchises. And now the newest entry in the franchise, simply called Splatoon 3, is finally here. But is it worth the wait? Let's find out. Straight from the get-go, when you start up the game now, you can ignore the news update telling you what maps you'll be playing on, which is great, avoiding hearing all the blabber and the about, and you can just jump straight into playing the game. The brilliant Salmon Run now is available 24/7, lobbies with friends, and you can play Turf War on the same team. You can play the single-player missions in practically any order you like. Whilst there isn't really much difference from Splatoon 2, it just feels like a much more refined and enjoyable experience, even if it does lack that one big new mode or addition to separate it from previous entries. But that's not to mean that it's not worth your time. Splatoon 3 is a complete joy. First up, let's talk about the single player. The story mode in previous games were okay, but it did feel a little bit throwaway as it was more of a traditional tutorial mode than anything else. But things did change with the Octolings expansion, which was harder and featured some great level designs. But Splatoon 3 campaign Return of the Mamelons, pardon the pronunciation, borrows inspiration from the Octolings expansion to create the best single player mode in the series yet. You start off the game with a few tutorial levels before you're whisked to this new area overflowing with this new ooze stuff, which that if it touches you, it kills you instantly, so avoid that stuff at all costs. Each of the game's areas are filled to the brim with this ooze, so it stops your progression and hides away secrets and levels. So good thing your new friend Small Fry can help you get rid of the stuff. By completing missions, you gain power eggs, and you can use them to get rid of this ooze by throwing Small Fry at it. One thing I like about this is that you're free to tackle the game as you wish. You can do all the levels in one area or just do a few and move on to the next area. It's a nice sense of freedom, and you can, if you wish, only do half the game's missions, then reach the game's conclusion, which is quite cool. As for the levels themselves, they're very similar to the older games, but the variety in the level designs are absolutely fantastic and are hugely creative. Each of the game's various levels teaches you something new or introduces a new mechanic, and it makes for a very enjoyable time. Each of the game's levels only really lasts about 5 minutes, so they don't outstay their welcome, and some of the later levels will certainly test your skills. But I won't spoil them, but rest assured you'll be having plenty of fun. Each of the game's environments can be opened up once you remove the ooze stuff, and you can find secrets and collectibles to help you out. There's even a bit of backstory to what happened to the world that made the Squid Kids. It's pretty cool stuff, and it's great for series fans. So Splatoon single player is the best we've seen in the series to date. The only thing I really would like is voice acting, as many of the game's cutscenes seem rather flat because we have to read the stuff and we don't get voice acting, but hey, it's still a fantastic single player experience. Multiplayer is really the biggest part of the game, and you can see why. Each match is super quick and very hectic, but ever so enjoyable, and it just feels ever so much more refined, from getting into matches quicker to picking your gear and weapons, and the matchmaking is so much more better now. You can now mess about with your weapons whilst waiting for a match to start, instead of looking at a static screen like you did in Splatoon 1 and 2. The game's selections of maps are a mix of new and returning ones from the previous two games, and it's a nice selection of maps, so I would have preferred more added, but I'm sure we'll get loads more in the future. As always with multiplayer, one of the best things about the game is the Splatfests, and they do return here, and this time instead of 2 teams getting together, we have 3 teams, so 3 different colours vying to win, and wow, the 3-team battles are an absolute blast here, and I really wish they could be here all the time instead of just for Splatfests. And again, you get your usual mix of rank and casual matches, and you get your 2 choices of maps, but unfortunately there's really nothing new or huge added to the game, but we do get a new addition in Table Turf Battle, which is a fun little card game, but nothing substantial. I'm not bashing the game, as I think it's great fun, but it would have been cool to have a big new mode just to set it apart from the previous game. And the final part of the package is Salmon Run, which is returning from Splatoon 2, and it was a fun mode there, but it was limited as you can only play it at a specific time. But thankfully, now you can play it whenever and whatever time you want, which is brilliant. The mode is just a heck of a lot of fun and is a perfect mode that suits the game ever so well. You and a team of other players must collect a load of eggs whilst fighting a load of evil salmon. It's hugely entertaining and it can get quite difficult. I'm so glad it's back and it's properly playable with some really good refinements. Overall, Splatoon 3 is a rather hefty package with its range of modes that will last you quite a long time. With story mode, it'll take you a good 8 to 10 hours to complete, more if you want to go for that elusive 100% and get all the collectibles and complete levels with other weapons and various other stuff. Then you've got your multiplayer with ranked and casual play, plus all the up-and-coming Splatfests and free DLC that is promised for the next couple of years. Add in that, the Salmon Run, and up-and-coming pay DLC, which I may imagine will be another campaign like Splatoon 2. But rest assured, there's a lot to play here and a lot of legs for this game into the future months and years. Onto the technical side of things now, Splatoon has always looked great, even on the Wii U. The colourful world and characters all look great. And as we jump to Splatoon 2, the extra jump of the Switch granted even better visuals. And now with Splatoon 3, we have a nice little improvement with slightly sharper graphics, more nice and detailed environments. As always with a Nintendo game, it's pristine with its resolution and frame rate, running at 60 FPS in story mode and multiplayer mode, it never misses a beat. The game drops to 30 FPS during the Splatfield's exploration as you choose your modes, which is fair enough, but you're never there long enough to notice. And I also must say that loading times are really quick as well. Must be half the time as what it takes to get into a game in Splatoon 2. As for the audio, the Splatoon series has always had many catchy beats and Splatoon 3 is no different, seeing a load of new tracks join in as well as a few favourites from older games. Most of the multiplayer music is upbeat tempo that keeps you invested into the game. The story mode music is also pretty decent, but one thing I would have liked, as I said before, is full voice acting. There's a lot of dialogue boxes, but the characters don't speak, and I think it would help invest players more into the story if there was some voice acting. Conclusion time now, and Splatoon 3 is very much more of the same, but it's definitely the best entry in the franchise by sorting out little issues and quirks of the older entries to make for a much more better experience, featuring a fantastic, very enjoyable and creative single player mode, which is the best in the series and is quite lengthy too. Its multiplayer is also top notch and the game has featured many slight and major improvements to improve the experience, like quicker loading times, getting into a match easier, and Salmon Run being available at all times. My only real issue is, as I said before, it's essentially more the same. It's just lacking that one big new mode or addition to set it apart from Splatoon 2. But rest assured, with future free DLC, the experience will greatly improve. As it is, Splatoon 3 is a blast and definitely my favourite entry into the series. So with that, I'm giving Splatoon 3 an 8 out of 10 with the title of great. As always, thank you for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be totally awesome. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye.